And welcome to today's coaching clinic. So it's lovely to be with you all. And today we're really going to look at the ability to create regardless of how we feel. That's something that a client actually pointed out to me recently. You know, I'd been doing a lot of writing about my experience, and she came to see for herself that even though I would drop into a low mood and be experiencing grief and loss after the death of my partner, I still was able to show up. In fact, in some situations, it was like a faucet of creativity had been switched on. And I didn't really see that for myself because it felt kind of normal. So the fact that she pointed that out, I thought, oh, this might be a topic that interests people, because certainly in my clientele, a lot of people are at the mercy of their moods in order to get anything done. And me too, it's not like every single time I've been able to navigate grief and loss in a low mood and get stuff done. But it's pretty impressive when I look at the overall scenario, and I can see that in my business, what's being created, despite the low mood, despite the grief, despite the loss, my client was right. So today I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to just help you really just tune into and tap into where that creativity comes from and why you don't have to have a great mood or a better feeling in order to get stuff done, in order to be productive, and most of all, in order to hear what it is or see what it is that's next for you. So on our coaching clinics, we love to start with a guided visualization or meditation. And we're going to do that now. We're going to get ourselves grounded. And this particular guided visualization is aimed at supporting you in just awakening that deeper level of creativity. So you might be thinking about what's next in your business. You might be wondering about an idea that you have. You may have things you need to do administratively that you still haven't done. This is going to help you just move the needle forward. It's going to allow you to see what you need to see and go where you need to go with this. If you're not in any of that, but you are interested in feeling better and healing from within, then this will help you too. So join me as we close our eyes here, and you can have your cameras off or on, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. And just take a few deep breaths. I like to use the count of 4 so that it's in through the nose for 4, hold, and out through the nose or the mouth for 4 and hold. Let's just do that now. You could exaggerate that breath. If you're finding yourself very fast or busy-minded, you can exaggerate the breath by using the nose to just breathe out, and you hear it coming out 1, 2, 3, 4. Let your breathing pull you into the present moment, pull you into this clinic. Because as you listen to what's on offer from a quieter space, you're more likely to hear what you need to hear or see what you need to see to experience momentum in your life, in your business, in your health, in your energy. Now visualize roots coming from your feet down through the ground, down into the underground, and right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. This is the rock that supports you and allows you to be grounded in this world. Imagine gold and light coming from that rock, up through the roots, through the underground, through the ground, and in through the floorboards, and up into your feet. And now, using your intention, move that golden light all the way up through every part of your body. Intend it and visualize that healing golden light moving through your body now. Up, up, on up. And if there's any area that's causing you some difficulty or challenge, send extra healing light to that zone. Until finally that light is reaching on up through the head and on up until it's a couple of inches above the head. And you're now enveloped in this gorgeous elixir of golden healing light. The light of your true nature. The light of your greatest health. The light of vitality and creativity. And in your mind's eye now, I want you to visualize a golden path. And you're going to witness yourself stepping onto that path. Walking along the path now, take in your environment around you. What do you notice? And up ahead from the path is a beautiful body of water. Make your way to that water now. This water is cleansing and healing. And even just being in the vicinity of it is allowing you to absorb its energy, its vitality, washing away from you any stagnant energy where your creative spirit is concerned. So see yourself surrounded now in that beautiful lake or that body of water, completely at peace, completely at ease. Don't be disturbed if you hear my own dog drinking water. Just focus your intention now that anything that feels stagnant for you, where your creative spirit is concerned, can be released into that body of water. See yourself letting go. Maybe for you, there's a lot of judgment about your level of productivity. Let that go. Let it flow into that body of water. Maybe for you, there's a lot of resistance about what you think you should be doing versus what you actually want to do. So letting that resistance flow into the body of water. Maybe for you, it's about time and priority, and life just keeps getting in the way of what you want to create. Let life's demands flow into the body of water, including time's restrictions. Place your hand on your heart, just watching yourself, placing your hand on your heart and letting yourself off the hook about where you're at in this stage of your journey, in this stage of your healing, in this stage of your business. Letting yourself off the hook about all the things you still haven't got to. And make a gentle declaration to yourself now that you are creatively open and that you are willing to allow yourself, however small per day, to think about or to act on the ideas that have been coming your way. Forgive yourself for any confusion that you needed to be better or feel better or have more time or have more space. Forgive yourself for these innocent beliefs and concepts. And just declare for yourself that you're willing to trust. I am willing to trust in my creative spirit. I'm willing to trust in my ideas. I'm willing to stop scaring myself about what I know to do next. I'm willing to forgive myself for not being further ahead and for not acting on my ideas so far. I am in the perfect place at the perfect time, doing exactly the perfect thing for now. Feel yourself letting yourself off the hook, breathing deeply, taking the gun away from your head about pressure and time and urgency. And I want you just to follow what I'm seeing here, which is place your hands in the water and just splash that water around your face. Just give yourself a nice splash of that water, a kind of a refresh, a kind of a wake up, and feel renewed. Coming away from the water now, back onto the golden path, and moving yourself gently along the golden path, taking in your environment, perhaps noticing the sun shining upon yourself. Moving along the path now, and you notice a couple of little steps. Step down those steps and feel yourself stepping back into this moment. Feel your feet firmly planted on the floor. Move your fingers gently, your toes gently, maybe your shoulders, your neck and your head. And see roots coming from those feet down through the ground, down into the underground, right down to that rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Secure, confident, clear, and present. When you're ready, just come back into the clinic, opening your eyes, letting yourself be here now. So I'm glad that was helpful. I can see a message coming in there. Thank you. And from this place, there's a couple of things come to mind to share, and then we'll open up to what you'd like to share or ask or explore with me. The first thing I feel like sharing is that for a long time I wanted to write a book, and I felt that the only way I could write a book, given my life's demands, was to go and lock myself in a room in Paris for a couple of weeks, and maybe go to the Irish College in Paris and rent a room and kind of shack up there and not go out and get my book underway. And I had some ideas for books. They were more lifestyle related, along with what I understood about the mind and how it works, things that had helped me. But I had this belief, this concept, this idea that that's what you had to do to get it done. Of course, it never happened. Thank God, because that would have been a very stale book. That would have been a forced effort. And instead, what's been happening for the last 2 years is that a book is writing itself through me. I noticed that after the death of my partner, I started getting lines in my head, stories in my head. And I noticed that the easiest thing for me to do was grab my phone and get it down on paper that way. I also noticed that when I set intention to write something that day, creative spirit support me in writing what needs to get written today. I noticed that on those days, I would usually end up writing. That had nothing to do with having space or time or not having demands on myself. In fact, you might say I had more demands, certainly emotionally, because I was navigating a high level of grief and trauma. And yet what I came to see was the creative spirit will work through us anyway. It doesn't care about your mood. It's not interested in your grief. It's not judging how long or how, it's not judging the quantity of your idea, but it holds a higher quality than what your little mind can come up with. So I am more interested in pointing people today to that creative spirit that's available in any given moment and is seeking your collaboration, regardless of your state of mind. That's the first thing I want to share. If I were to boil that down to a simple statement, how about getting out of your own way and inviting the creative spirit to create through you each day? The second thing I want to share is some of our best ideas can come from a low place or a new place. So let me share a little more there. Because the creative energy doesn't really care about what level of mood you're in, it sometimes can pierce through you in a moment of low feeling. A week or two ago, after a period of low, for sure, I had that piercing in that moment. I heard the creative spirit in me say, I just want to be happy. And that was a shift for me into creative ideas, solutions, a new level of self-care. It came from that lower state and feeling, and I've come to recognize that if we're not getting worried about the state of mind we're in, it has a chance to move on. We don't add a layer of resistance that keeps it blocked there. And so we can be in a low feeling and a low mood, but when we're not worried about that too much and we don't really care so much, our wisdom, the creative spirit can flow through. a number of things have been set in motion since that moment that are positive to my well-being, to my life. That's how wisdom works. It brings you something fresh and new. But even in a low state, even in a low mood, some of the greatest assets in your business can be born. Some of the greatest ideas can be born. The key is that as you begin to see that your state is temporary, as you stop getting locked into fighting your state of mind, wishing it was different, as you stop pushing up against it, it just flows through. Now, those are the times that I find it's a lot easier for me to be lying on the couch watching Netflix. And I've learned not to judge that too. I guess what I'm saying is I've learned to trust that the creative spirit will come through, will guide me anyway. So in the meantime, why not just veg out when you're in that state instead of beating yourself up about being in that state? And the last pointer, not only can creative ideas come to you in that state, in a low place, but it can come to you in a new place. And this might be more of a personal thing, but I find that when I travel or go somewhere fresh and new, I tend to get something new in terms of an idea. Many of my programs over the last decade in my own business have been born from just being in a different place and hearing something fresh and new. And I want to share that because it's hopeful. It's not to say you have to leave your home in order to get ideas. Please don't hear it like that. But I want to share that here's how it looks to me is like when we go somewhere new, we fall out of our judgmental, habitual, worried mind, and we fall into the present because we are bombarded with new senses, new smells, new tastes, new things. We cannot help but be pulled into the present. And what's happening is it's not that the place is the answer. It's not that the travel is the solution. It's that we've fallen into a new state of presence as we fall out of our habitual judgmental mind and in a new place, in a new environment, somehow that just pulls us into that moment. So I'm not sure what you're hearing today, but I hope there's been something that is of help to you. I'm happy to open up here at this point to any questions, ideas, comments. You're welcome to also write in the box if you don't want to come on.
Grace, I just want to thank you for bringing this topic to light, because this is something that I've seen in the number of years that I've been in the coaching industry, of this concept of having to be in a certain type of mood or to be at a certain vibration emotionally in order to create certain content or market even. And I remember buying into that concept years and years ago, and just the effort and the stress of almost forcing yourself to be in that high vibrational mode which for me was counterintuitive. And it only came to light for me when I've been spending years, like after my health crisis, spending years resting, a lot of time resting mentally and physically. That, like you say, well, for me, how it works is the same sort of thing, that when I'm in that rest mode, that the ideas come, the creativity just flows, and I don't need to worry about, oh, what do I put out here, and when do I launch this, or when do I do that? But I'm very much in flow with, okay, what's next? Okay, I rest, or do I do this, etc. And also to thank you also for bringing to light about the whole concept of us listening to our wisdom, because that also comes into play as well. Because if we're not careful, we can be in a place where we're watching what others are doing, feeling compelled to do the same, rather than take time out to listen to what wisdom is saying to us. So I just want to say thank you for this.
That's beautiful, Lily, and I love what you're saying there. I really love what you're saying. And yeah, there's you know, there's an innocence too, isn't there? You know, I think we all started off in this coaching direction in the early days with the innocent belief that you had to be a certain way or you had to change yourself to get what you wanted.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up the rest as well. You know, I know that's been part of your journey, and I just feel it's part of everyone's journey. What I'm seeing more and more is that the more rested I am, the more respite I have from Bob the drunk guy in my mind. He seems to get really loud, shouting obscenities and throwing out insecurities and criticizing ideas, the tireder I am. And I'm seeing that fresh. So I don't know if that's helpful for anyone, but just to say, the more well-rested you are, and however much rest you think you're getting, trust me, you probably need about 3 times more. Let yourself off the hook with that. But the more well-rested we are, just the clearer we are, you know, it just looks to me like Bob the drunk guy in our mind doesn't have any, it doesn't have any space to show up as much in a mind that's well rested. Now, rest and creativity go hand in hand. And I'm not talking about getting enough sleep, although that's great. But what I've noticed for myself is it's not about quantity. It's about the quality of your well-being, of your feeling inside that will guide you. So you could get 10 hours sleep, but still feel like crap the next day and still be stuck in a storm of obscenities and judgment and habitual worry. As we get well rested, as we get a little quieter inside, a little bit of space from Bob, as we take care of ourselves in a fresh way, then we have access to the creative mind. So for anyone that even has a little bit of an inkling, gosh, you know, I think I need a break, or I know Black Friday is coming up and I should do something for Black Friday. Forget it. If you're feeling inside like you need to take care of you, I can promise you that the creative spirit will come rushing through with something that will be way more juicy than whatever you could come up with for a Black Friday sale, right? So, yeah, Thank you for bringing up rest, Lillian. Rest and creativity go hand in hand. Anybody else?
I'd like to say something, Grace. It's Charlene.
Hello, Charlene. Go ahead, darling.
Please excuse my video. The lights are off, and you know, it takes a lot of courage to relax and to really surrender. And I've been going through a real season of courageousness where I think it was the lady who spoke just before me. Please forgive me, I don't remember your name. Lillian, yes. When Lillian was talking about feeling the need to do something because you see others doing that, it has taken me so much courage to say, not their way, my way. And really saying to myself that my reality is up to me. It's my creation of my life is up to me, and I get to create whatever I want to experience in the world. And for me, the courage in saying not their way, my way, it came down to really taking radical responsibility for my own life and not necessarily needing somebody else to model success for me. To be able to stop looking outside of me and start looking on the inside and saying, there's a landscape and an architecture already here available to me that is already set up for success. And I can follow that inner knowing. I can access that stream of consciousness, or I can continue to look out into the world for some sort of model of success that I can repeat and imitate. And it's just beautiful to do the former, because there are things that my inner wisdom tells me to do that make no sense. No sense whatsoever.
That's usually a very trustworthy sign.
Right. But it's so powerful to me, and it's so precious.
Yeah, beautiful.
I just wanted to say that.
Good, Charlene. Yeah, good. It's wonderful to witness your journey and your transitioning. You know, I think a lot of us are transitioning from that old way of doing things. I noticed the other day, I was all in my head about, you know, what I noticed for me is like, if Bob's not getting in, like running insecurities, he's running a lot of planning. So there's a flavor of planning that goes on in my mind that is still noise. I've come to realize that's not helpful. That is still a noise. But so he was kicking off with planning. And I was trying to plan if I should pick my friend up from the airport and then we would go for lunch. And should I take the dogs with me, or should I take one dog with me? And should we stop for lunch, or should we have dinner instead? And honestly, I was driving myself mad. And I sat down and I just put my hand on my heart and I just said, tell me what to do next. And I just heard it. You'll know in the moment. And lo and behold, I went about my day and I noticed a couple of things. As I was driving to the airport, a fresh thought something that didn't make sense came into my mind. And I knew that was the answer. That was what we were going to do when I picked her up from the airport. And then I noticed a bit later that another idea that I was pre-planning and had thought I had the answer for, another fresh idea that I hadn't considered came in. And that's exactly what we did. And we ended up having the most enjoyable time. Now, the reason I share that with you is that you can trust things that don't make sense. You can trust fresh ideas that don't come from your mind that's planning and coming up with the same old content and the same old options. I'm a great believer in what we might describe as the third option. So you can be swinging on, shall I do this or shall I do that? Shall I do this or shall I do that? And then in a space of clarity, a third option comes in that has nothing to do with this or that. You can trust that fresh idea. And that's what I want to share too about this creative spirit. It's fresh. It's in the moment. It's something you haven't necessarily thought of yet. It is solution oriented and it brings you the most level of enjoyment and ease in the moment. So thank you, Charlene, for pointing out that also, as I heard you, I heard there's a level of trust that needs to take place as you look in this direction. There's a trusting in the creative spirit to guide you and to come up with options that you haven't even considered yet. Remember earlier I said that my option looked like closing myself in a room in Paris and getting some sort of book out of me? Well, I had no idea that life had another option for me, which meant something so much easier and so much full of creative juice and so healing to me and so healing to those that read it. We can trust the creative spirit regardless of our state of mind. Anybody else?
Hi, Grace. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's my first time here. I'm new to your world. And I just want to say I have two teeny tiny little puppies beside me. So you might hear them playing and barking. Just want to preface with that. But first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Grace, for this beautiful container. Like the energy is so healing and so safe and really beautiful. And I feel it so deeply. So I'm so grateful for that. And I think the way that you've really taken such painful events in your life and really transmuted and alchemized them into something really beautiful is truly, truly inspiring. So I just want to really acknowledge you for that. I think it's such an incredible example for everyone on this call, but just in general.
Thank you.
And I can deeply resonate with so much of what you're sharing. The last few years for me have been a dark night of the soul in many ways, in the midst of like a really massive and beautiful spiritual awakening and initiation in so many ways. But I guess my question for you, there's a few I could ask, but I think the word that's coming through is structure. Like it's kind of a two different questions, but is there a point where you are Netflixing on your couch and riding the wave of your emotions and just letting it pass through you? And then do you you're like, okay, this has been enough? Or do you just naturally stay in it moment to moment to moment, you know, or do you say like, okay, even though I'm feeling this way, I'm going to Netflix for this long, and then I'm going to implement some kind of structure for the creativity to flow through? That's kind of part one. And then I guess part two of that is like, can you kind of walk us through your creative process a little bit more? You know, like for me, for example, the ideas are not the issue. Sometimes I get too many ideas and I'm like, I don't know which, you know, there's 10 different downloads and I'm not really sure where to go here. So I guess that also relates to structure. So hopefully those questions or thoughts make sense. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. That's so lovely. Is your name Stuart, or is that someone else's name?
No, that's my name. I get this all the time. My everyone thinks that me and my husband are two men. So my husband's also on the call.
Well, Stuart, those are great questions. I've never been asked that before, so it's great to have fresh questions. But see what I heard in your sharing, it's not about structure, it's about trust. So when I'm lying on the couch, I don't need to push myself off the couch and get myself into some structure, because I have a level of trust that's developed in this creative spirit, that I will be moved by life to do what needs to be done. We have free will, and we can certainly switch the TV off when we're not feeling great and make ourselves get shit done. I just don't find that to be as productive as letting myself return to a level of creative energy and get shit done in far less time. So there's a level of trusting that comes into place rather than structure, where I personally am concerned. The other thing is, when there is stuff that needs to be done, like my marketing needs to be done, I don't care about my mood. I'm just going to get it done. You know, like the Monday morning mantra usually goes out regardless of my mood. So even if I feel hell-bent crap on low feeling, that's going to get done. I just might choose something a little bit easier to send out than coming up with something fresh. I might come up with something, okay, let's say this again, because I ain't got any bandwidth to come up with something new. So there's a level of trusting yourself to be moved by life, to get what needs done. Most people live life innocently, me too, at times, with a gun to their head, shooting themselves, hurry up, urgency, stress, get it done, get it done, get it done. And so they're creating from a feeling of urgency and should and stressfulness. And then they wonder why they start falling out of love with their work. So we want to catch ourselves when we have that gun to our head. And the way we tend to catch it is, how urgent do we feel? How rushed is life becoming? How untrusting are we? And how unenjoyable is our creation? Well-being is your default. You came in with well-being. You will always return to well-being. Lying on the couch moments, Netflix moments, vegging out moments, moments of in between high levels of productivity, those are all part of the process. See, we're not meant to be in full creation mode 24/7, 365 days per year. Nature doesn't do that, neither do we. But we have learned innocently, we've been conditioned innocently, that we should be in that productive mode most of the time. It's simply not true. Creativity needs a void. It needs space. And there's a level of beginning to trust in that space, that something fresh and new will come in. I had a year and a half on the beach, more or less, talking to God most days, when I left my day job as a school teacher. And I was begging God, show me what you have me do. Show me what you have me do. What am I going to do? What's next? I need to earn. I can't be like this. I was in such a level of stressful thinking that it took a year and a half for anything fresh to come through. But that year and a half was space for something new to be born. So I'm never worried when I'm in a void or my clients tell me nothing fresh and new has been coming, because the void is where the fresh and new can get born. We just have to get out of the way a lot more. What is my creative process? Okay, it goes something like this, and maybe I'll have to write this somewhere at some time because this is so off the top of my head. Goes a little bit like this. Get an impulse to do something, want to do something, want something fresh. Don't know what it is. Get distracted by life. Socialize. Focus on my home. Meet my friends for coffee. Still feel the impulse for something new and fresh. Pray. Dear God, there's something new and fresh. I can feel it, but I don't know what it is. Please help me get clear. Relax. Netflix, walking my dog, cooking real food, slowing down, restfulness. Download. Idea comes. Act on it. I will look at that more closely and post it somewhere, but that's kind of how it looks to me. And in between all of that too, Stuart, there can be a lot of lows going on. It's not all smiley faced and happy. But the impulse for something new is where it starts. I want to do something else. I want to write something else. I want to cook something else. I want a different program. Starts there. Is that helpful?
It's so helpful. Thank you so much. It deeply, deeply resonates. And it's reflecting so much back to me, particularly the trust element. I feel like I feel that so deeply, like it feels like an energetic feeling that's, really activating something within. And also the creative process, it's just such a beautiful reminder that it's cyclical in nature and we are just like nature and it's not meant to be on all the time. And I'm personally in a deep season of inner winter. I have been for the last 6 months. So even when it was like summertime externally, and it's just such a beautiful reminder to be okay in the void. And I also have had experiences where it took a year and a half for something to download and it's been beyond my wildest dreams. So yeah, it's thank you so much. That was so beautiful. You can hear the puppies crying.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much, Grace.
So Lauren is writing, that was incredible. Can one write an email if there is a deadline and one is in a low mood? I find myself trying to wait for a good mood, but also waiting too long in the process, not trusting my ability to write quickly in a low mood. Well, you just saw something there, Lauren, which is really a game changer. Oh, I'm not trusting myself to write quickly in a low mood. But I might suggest that you remove quickly, because a deadline is a gun to your head. And whilst there may be deadlines in this world, we have to remember they're made up. There's not actually a deadline where you're going to get shot if you don't get it done. Okay, so, I mean, here's what comes to me, like, try it. Try not waiting for a better mood to get an email done. Start where you're at. you know, I had this opportunity to stay at a 5-star hotel locally recently, beautiful place. And they wanted me to stay there, and they wanted me to give my experience and write a review. And I find myself kind of in the same situation. Maybe I'll write this when I feel better, because I didn't know what to say. I was just drawing a blank. I was so tired. And then it came to me, well, I could write the first line because I certainly enjoyed this bit. So I'll write that. And then a day later, I was like, oh, and that was good too. I'll write that line. And then a couple of days later, I wrote the whole thing. So, you know, start where you are and just allow yourself to keep going in that direction. But take the gun away from your head. We have so many hands up. It's lovely to see. We've not got long left. I'm going to go to Kinnerett, because if you'd like to come on, just real quick, if you've got something, Kinnerett, thank you. Charlene, if you want to, Charlene, we'll hope to get to you. If not, put it in the box and we'll aim to get to you. Kinnerett, go ahead.
So I find that I have a lot of thinking about work and life and what's next and this, and I juggle a lot of things, and then no creativity for new things. Do you have a word of wisdom?
Well, you know what I love is that you're seeing what you're doing to yourself. And I think we greatly underestimate the power in seeing that. It's like, oh, that's what I'm doing. I've got a lot of thinking about life. I can promise you that alone begins to give some space to the thinking about life, because you start to get some space from it as you see what you're doing to yourself. I'm hearing patience for you as well. There's a level of patience for you to come to, Kinnerett, with your journey and yourself. So I don't know if you're highly demanding of yourself or what the patience bit means for you.
Yeah, probably.
Mhm. But see, the wisdom that comes to you about this will change the game of your creativity. So I don't know, maybe after this call or tomorrow or a week's time from now, a few days from now, maybe you're just going to have an idea and you're going to be less interested in all you're thinking about life. And you're going to find yourself being moved by life to act on that idea. But there's a level of trust and patience with that. See, what we don't want to get into as a wonderful group of people interested in how the mind works is what we don't want to get into, constantly analyzing our minds, looking at the content, being interested in the content. No. Okay, my mind's got a lot of thinking right now. I see that. And soon enough, it won't have a lot of thinking about life, because you'll be engaged in the present moment. You'll be engaged with an idea that's come to you. You'll be engaged with something that is impersonal and not about your tiny little life. And that's for all of us, you know, me too. I get caught up in thinking about my future. It's like, Grace, it's really not that important. So let's see what begins to come to you, but trust your wisdom on it. Charlie, how are you consistent with your emails and then this clinic without a gun to your head? Mm-hmm. first thing is I really enjoy what I'm putting out. There's a level of enjoyment in what I'm emailing and sharing. It's hard not to be consistent because you feel enjoyment, a feeling of enjoyment getting it out. And secondly, I really recognize when I've got the gun to my head. And I've learned to just step back when I'm in that place of the gun. Even if that means the email gets delayed a bit, or the Monday mantra doesn't get out, or the quality of what goes out in the marketing is less than what I would like it to be. But the consistency comes from the enjoyment factor. And the idea is just, somebody mentioned earlier, in flow. The idea is being able to flow. Thank you for being here today, everybody. It was great to see you. The clinic will be available as a recording over on the YouTube channel. If you've got somebody you want to share this with, feel free to share it with them. And if you'd like my support personally on your journey around this particular topic of moving into trusting yourself and the creative spirit more in order to really birth into the world or into the business what it is you've got, what it is you want to bring forth, get in touch, gracefulcoaching@gmail.com, and we can talk about some one-to-one sessions beginning in January 2023. Okay, lots of love, everybody. Take care. Bye.